Hello, writers. It's Megan Barnhart, and I am coming at you live today with writing tips. Today, we're going to chat about how to build a daily writing habit. So, settle in, get a pen and paper to take some notes. And if you take notes, you get to count it as writing. You'll find out why. I'm going to get us shared in the Write with Megan Facebook group. If you're not already in that group, please do come over and join us. Just search Facebook groups, Write with Megan. Whether you're working on books or blog posts, you write for business, any kind of writing you do, this is a place where you can get support, find other writers, your writing buddies, and ask me questions. So if you're here watching live, say hello. Or if you're watching the recording, say hello too. I'd love to hear from you and know what you're up to today. Hello, Lloyd. Good to see you. All right. So I'm going to count down my top 6 tips for building a daily writing habit. It was 5, and I thought of one more because I like to think in terms of practical tips and also shifts you can make in how you think about writing that might really change the way you write without changing anything about your life or what happens externally. Hey, so good to see you, Lloyd. Okay. So let's jump in. Number 6, if you want to start writing daily, if you want to build a daily writing habit, my number 6 tip is set up some accountability, right? It's really easy to slack on the things that we don't tell anybody else we're trying to do, or that we don't even admit to ourselves we're trying to do. So you can set up accountability internally with yourself. And you can do that with your to-do list. Put writing on your to-do list every day. If you use a bullet journal, put it on your monthly spread or your weekly spread and get the satisfaction of ticking off or coloring in the boxes for all of the days that you do daily writing. Join a site like 750 Words or For the Words, where a website is kind of holding you accountable for showing up and doing your writing. Get a writing buddy. Don't have a writing buddy? Come on over to the Write with Megan Facebook group and make some writing buddies and connect with those people. Help get them to help you hold yourself accountable. Hey, Lori. Hey, Wayne. Speaking of people from Write with Megan, good to see you guys all here. And you can even declare it on Mondays in the Write with Megan Facebook group. We always have a what's your writing goal for the week. Your writing goal could be, I'm going to show up and write every day. I'm going to write daily. That's a great goal. And that's something that we would all love to support you with. Okay. So that is number 6. Get yourself some accountability, right? Those are the first things we knock off the to-do list, the things that nobody else knows we're trying to do. Oh, hello, Lindy. Hi, Lori. Hi, James. Hi, Carmen. Oh, Lindy, I miss you too. All right. Thank goodness for the internet. Okay, here's my number 5 tip for getting your daily writing habit going. Make time for it, right? So you're like all fired up. I got some accountability. I told my writing buddies I'm going to do this, but you have to actually make time for it in your life. That might mean you put it on your calendar. You're like, this is my specific time and I'm going to do my writing here if that works for you. If that feels too restrictive, think about adding some time to your calendar that's kind of flex time. This would be when I'll scoop the litter box or I'll write and then just do the writing. Or do it instead of something else. Look at your schedule and go, what am I willing to give up? Maybe I could cut down on the time I'm on Facebook. That's one of mine. Or the time I'm watching shows. Maybe I could become a little bit more efficient, or I could only wash the dishes every other night instead of every night. Can writing bump something else? Anybody getting inspired in that list? Let me know in the comments. How do you think you can make some time in your day for writing? I plan to do my writing in the morning, but today was a great example of a day where I did not do my morning schedule at all. In fact, I didn't even do my yoga and my meditation until lunchtime, before I ate lunch. And I'm planning to do my writing later in the afternoon. So, set up a time for it, but also don't make it all or nothing. If you miss that time, you can still go back and do your writing. Hello, Marina. Uh-oh, Marina says, I've got commitment issues. A lot of us do, and commitment, like anything else, is something you get better at by practicing. So keep that in mind. You don't have to come in being great at the skill of consistency. You can actually build the skill of consistency. Does that feel better? Like, ooh, yeah, I could improve about that. I can improve on that. Hi, Carrie. Wayne says, when the kids go to bed is a great time. Awesome. So you have that distraction-free time. Carmen says, less Facebook and Netflix. Yeah, I find the one leads me to the other. Like, I watch a great show on Netflix and I want to share on Facebook, or other people recommend shows on Facebook and I have to go watch them. Yeah, vicious cycle. All right, guys, that brings us to tip number 4. So your like accountability is set up, your writing time is set up in your schedule. You need to be realistic. This is tip number 4. Be realistic for your life. If you're hanging out with other writers and you're noticing how often they're posting, or, hey guys, I wrote this many words, it's easy to get a bad case of comparisonitis and go, oh, I should be writing that many words a day, or I should be writing that many hours a day. You need to do what's realistic for you and your life. And when you're building a habit, it usually feels much better to know when you're going to have to give it less time than to overcommit and fall short. So here's what I mean. I'm making this video on the 18th of October. By the way, happy birthday, Mosa! It's my sister's birthday today. I love her so much. So right now I'm thinking like, okay, Thanksgiving is coming up if you're in the US, and generally like November and December end up being these like crazy busy times for people. So being realistic means thinking ahead and going, am I going to be able to get any writing done that week when I'm out of town, or I'm visiting friends and family, or they're visiting me? Maybe not. Maybe you give yourself the freedom to say, I'm building this habit, but not for that week. I'm taking that week off. I find for me, it feels much better to plan ahead the times I'm going to take off than to go, oh, I'm going to do this every day because I'm a warrior, and miss times because it simply wasn't realistic. So let me know what your take is on that. But for me, I know that feels much better. So a daily writing habit doesn't even have to mean 7 days a week. Maybe for you, a daily writing habit means every weekday. It means Monday through Friday. Maybe you want to even start with 3 days a week. And maybe you're in a place where you go, if I could just find one day out of the 7 in the week where I could write, I would be so thrilled, because right now I have no time. Okay. So I've talked about this as a daily writing habit, but you can start that. First of all, you can define daily however it works for you. Is that every single day? Is it only on days when you go to work, or only on days when you don't go to work? And then within that, give yourself the freedom to start with a small chunk and work your way up. Just because your goal is eventually to write 5 days out of the week, it doesn't mean you have to start with 5. We good? Give me an emoji. That makes sense. Cutting yourself some slack. Oh yeah. It's great to have big goals and to want to accomplish big things, but really the way we get to those big goals and those big achievements is through small steps. So don't be afraid, don't beat yourself up for doing small pieces of the puzzle. Lori says, be realistic with your goals. Nothing crushes your drive like never being able to meet your goals because they're unrealistic. Yes, Lori, thank you for saying that. So important, right? When we're starting something new, whether it's a new skill, a new habit, anything, we need to have small successes or we give up. Raise your hand, give me an emoji if you've ever taken one of some kind of class and after that class went, holy crap, I am not cut out to do this, and never gone back because it was just too hard. Whether it was like photography or pottery or yoga or Zumba, anybody had that experience where you're like, I'm going to do this, and you do the first one and give up because it's just way too hard? Let me know, because we don't want that to happen with your writing. Wayne says, aim for your own goal. Carrie says, my goals are just a goal to attain. Yeah, you're aspiring to your goals. That's awesome. And for some people that will work. It depends on your mindset, really. If you're like, hey, I got within 10 feet of it and I feel awesome, go for it. Just make sure to celebrate whatever successes you do have. Wayne says, not to sound gross, but bathroom time is great for a few words. Hey, if you've already got your phone in there, you might as well be typing on Google Docs. Oh, that's too funny. Okay. Lori says that's the library where research happens. Oh my God, you guys are cracking me up. And you're proving that we all have time to write. Okay, that was number 4. Number 3 on my top 6 list of tips for starting a daily writing habit. Find a place where you like doing it. Oh, that's very apropos. We just heard about some people's favorite place being the potty. And by place, I mean 2 things. One, where you are. So where's a place where it really feels good to you to write? Maybe it's at your desk and you can close the door and get really focused. Maybe it's a favorite cafe, like taking yourself out of your house or out of your regular space, getting a little bit of a different view and jumping in and writing there. Outside, a favorite chair. Find a place where it feels good, because that will entice you to start writing, because you'll want to go to that favorite place. And then also find the place for your writing. So writing in a notebook, writing in a journal, typing. You guys have heard me talk about before, I really am inspired by 750words.com. I can't tell you why. I'm sure there's a science behind the way the screen looks or the layout or something. But when I open up and log into that space, I just start furiously typing. For me, that's a very inviting space. So find your inviting space, both in terms of your physical surrounding and where your words are going. There's no wrong way. If you can type on your phone, type on your phone. I have a friend who wrote an entire book on her iPhone in emails to herself. Like, she would just steal moments out of the day and write when she had the time and got inspired. She always had her phone with her. She ended up with an entire book. So go for it. Let's see. Carrie says, use shower time and dry erase markers. I love it. Oh my gosh. That would be so fun. Right. We all have our best thoughts in the shower and then we lose them. Lori says, my office. Marina says, my new organized office space. Yeah. If there's no space in your life that feels inviting, maybe you need to carve out a little space. But just don't spend too much time doing that. That could be procrastination. Okay, let's get down to number 2 in the top 6 tips. All right, now we're getting a little in your head. Those were all kind of like nuts and bolts things. So the last 2 are kind of more mindset pieces. And tip number 2 is to separate the process from the product. The goal that you're working toward is setting a daily or getting a daily writing habit. That's very different from whatever other writing goal you have going on, which might be, I want to put out 4 blog posts a month for my business website, or I want to finish this draft of my novel by the end of whatever month. Those are product goals, right? When you're building a habit, you have to focus on the process goal, which means that sometimes you're going to get into a little bit of conflict, right? You're like, oh, I really want to finish this novel, but to do that, I need more research. And for my daily writing habit, I want to not be doing research. You're going to have to balance. You're going to have to negotiate and really be clear in any given moment what's your intention. There's no wrong intention, but just be really clear on it so that you're not pulling yourself in conflicting directions. If you're building a daily writing habit, it means you get to give yourself credit for any bad writing you do. Any writing you do that eventually is going to get flushed, it's not going to go into your final draft. You still get credit for it because you're still writing. Give yourself credit for off-topic writing. You're like, oh, I'm going to sit down and get this blog post out. And it's like, oh, and then I had this weird dream and there was spaghetti. If you're still writing, you get credit for it. So give me an emoji. Does that make sense? You're separating the process from the product. Okay. Oh, Wayne says pick a day of the week for research. I love it. So you get that into your structure and have different days for writing. What I want you to keep in mind is that you're developing a skill and a habit, and that's a different goal from any writing project you have. And it's equally important. I mean, if your goal is to develop a daily writing habit, you don't have to develop a daily writing habit. But if that's your goal, it's important and it deserves time and attention. It's not lesser than the goal of finishing the book or finishing your blog posts. That gets us down to the number 1 of the top 6 tips for building a daily writing habit. I think you guys are going to like this one because my number 1 tip is to count all the kinds of writing you're doing. All of them. They all count in your goal toward building this daily writing habit. So maybe that's a draft of your book. You're drafting in your book. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm doing that. And that writing counts. Maybe it's blog posts in the service of your the business or your author business, or just if you keep a personal blog where you write down your thoughts. If you're somebody who finds yourself writing like long Facebook posts or long Instagram posts where you're just getting your thoughts out, count that. That counts as writing. If you journal, that counts as writing. And if you have to write for work, that also counts as writing. So I visited my best friend recently and hung out with her. Awesome kids. And my friend Anna is also a writer, and she's an editor, and she's a graphic designer. And we had this really great, inspiring conversation about work and writing, and the writing we want to be doing, and the writing that we find ourselves doing. And she made this comment that just left me so inspired and so at peace. And it was in reference to, if you guys heard this thing from Malcolm Gladwell about the amount of time it takes to actually become an expert at something, right? He wrote about how it's basically 10,000 hours to become expert at something. Like the reason the Beatles were so good was because they put in their 10,000 hours. Like they were playing these really crummy, weird, cheesy nightclubs in Germany for years and years before making it big. And they put in their hours. So Anna was talking about writing, and she says, Megan, even if you're, doing writing over here, like you're writing for clients, you're writing copy, you're writing about pages, you're, whatever it is, you are still building up to your 10,000 hours of being an expert at writing. And I was like, oh, yes, I am. So I want to just put that thought out there for you. I know there are many people who love writing who are frustrated because the kind of writing they're doing is not what they think is real writing. It's like, oh, I want to write these books, or I want to write these heartfelt blog posts, or I want to write for my business and I have to write for my 9-to-5 job. You are still practicing the craft of writing, and you are still building this daily habit of writing that like greases the machinery and keeps you in flow. So I found that perspective incredibly inspiring. I wanted to share that with you. You're still building that habit, even if what you're writing is not the thing you dreamed about writing. Query letters. Yes, Lori, count your query letters. That is so, it so counts, and those are so important. Yeah, Carrie says a character journal blog. Yeah, great to count that. Oh, Carrie says, I want to write a character blog. I'm not sure how to incorporate it. Well, you've already got a website, if I'm not mistaken, right, Carrie? So you could do that as a category. Like you could create a blog post category and do character journal entries. Yes, Carmen, even writing pen pal letters, because the skill that you're practicing is putting words together well, right? That's what you're practicing when you're writing. And you're also practicing letting your ideas flow and not being completely stopped up in judgment, right? Letting the ideas out, a huge part of writing. So those are my top 6 tips for setting a daily writing habit. If you're intrigued, if you would like to find out more about how you can build that writing flow and silence those writing gremlins, make sure that Recipe for Drafting is on your radar. This is my latest book. It will be available for delivery on October 26th, but it's available for pre-order now. And you can find it at meganbarnhart.com/recipe-for-drafting, and I will share that link. Okay, let's keep this conversation going. If you have more thoughts, please do add them to the comments section. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend and tag somebody you think might want to build a daily writing habit. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I will see you next time. Happy writing.